Greetings. Hi. Hello. So, I wanted to do another lovely book review. I'm taking a look at this book, Mindfulness. After I just finished Aware, Intention, and The Unfettered Mind, I was in a spot to kind of pick this up. Mentally, I am also in a spot to pick this all up. So it really doesn't do a damn bit of good to be doing these self-help books, for me at least, if I'm not going to follow through or do the plan, or if I'm going to absorb it but not apply it. So that's been a major reason why I've been holding off up until recently on talk therapy. I started doing that about a month ago after everything kind of fell apart on me. But neither here nor there. So I'm finally in a spot where mentally I can work on what I need to work on, and I don't have any outside resources or things that are going to drag me down. So I wanted to go ahead and get started in this. It is a 8-week plan for becoming more aware and in the moment of things. And this book has already got me a little bit on the hooked side, to be honest with you. I'm only 58 pages in, and majority of this is highlighted already. And some of my favorite things on here is it talks about how how feelings are infectious, regardless of the positive or the negative on it. These thoughts aren't your feelings. You are not in charge of these random thoughts. And what was even more interesting was the book goes on to talk about how when you're stressed or whatever, your body starts going through these memories, trying to sync things up to what it was like before, where it happened in the past. This happens good or bad. And if you act on these feelings when they happen, they feed off each other. Something that was really, really interesting was how you can feel tired and then you are tired. Or here, this is the diagram I wanted. And it was your thoughts affect the body sensations, which affects the impulses, which affects your feelings, which affects your thoughts. And so it viciously goes in these cycles, but they're all interchangeable and interconnected. And the example that I used, or that I want to use on it, was I can, feel nervous about not passing a test. And my body doesn't really understand the test. So they look at it and treat it like it's a lion or something. Like, I'm nervous because there's a lion. And so you have these upticks in your adrenaline and everything to get you prepared for it, when actuality it's just a test on it. And being mindful of the fact that the body's prepping for something that you don't really need is kind of beneficial, and not being a slave to your emotions on it. I've helped several addicts out, and I've helped myself. And the one thing that I've always seen when they finally reach out for help is they're acting off emotions, not exactly what's going on. And after the emotions are gone, they want to go back to what they were doing. And that's a whole other host of issues on it. But, I've seen where I was stressed out and depressed because my ex-wife was leaving me, right? And so now anytime those similar behaviors happen, my mind automatically jumps to this is what they're doing. And it takes a considerable amount of effort for me not to act on them, because last time I was seeing this happen, it was that. So like, that's the only experience I'm going on, and that's what's kind of causing issues with me. And that brings in other aspects in relationships and everything. And what was even more interesting on it, and this is all just in the first 58 pages, is they said that you can't think your way into thinking right. You have to do to start to think right. Smiling gives you the endorphins, it makes you feel better, and it gets infectious, and then your tone changes. That affects other people around you, and it brings them up. The inverse is true. Say you get triggered by a memory that you didn't really know you had, and you start to feel down and sad and hostile, and then your tone changes to that. Now you've created the situation that you were afraid that was going to happen. So that was some interesting thoughts on it. They've got this 8-week program, and considering I've been taking the St. John's wort, the omega-3 fatty acids, and the vitamin D to basically see if that does better than antidepressants, because I haven't had any luck with antidepressants. I've had luck with running and supplements and everything, but nothing man-made has done me any good. In fact, it has sped up the dumpster fire. But week 1 helps you see the automatic pilot at work and asks you to basically start to turn off the automatic pilot. Week 2 is a simple body scan meditation that helps us learn the differences between thinking and feeling. Week 3 builds on the previous sessions with some mindful movement practices based on yoga. Awesome. I've been wanting to do yoga. Week 4 introduces sound and thoughts meditation that progressively reveals how you can get sucked unwittingly into overthinking and how to pump the brakes on that. Week 5 introduces meditation, exploring difficulties that help you face rather than avoid these difficulties. Week 6 progresses even further onto that, building on it. Week 7 explores close connections between our daily routines, activities, behaviors, and moods. When we are stressed and exhausted, we often give up on things that nourish us and make time for more pressing and important things. And week 8 is putting it all together. So I really think this is going to go good. This is going to be great. I'm going to do weekly check-ins on this and like little bits that I've read, what I've been noticing, and any sort of changes. We're going to turn this into a little bit of an experiment, combine it with what we know about the neural pathways and everything on that. We're going to combine that with gut health, and we're going to see if we can turn this overall bah humbug mood into something a little bit more cheery. So let's go. And now that we have transitioned out of that, let's talk about the book that I've been reading, because I'm getting a lot of nuggets out of it. So they talk about it being this automatic like brain waves or habits that you get, and you can start down a path, and before you realize it, you're doing something you didn't intend on doing. Like, case in point, have you ever really kind of paid attention to driving home? I don't know about you, but sometimes I drive home and I get home and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? I don't remember any of this. I don't remember driving. And that's what I think it's a he that's wrote it. That's what they go into. Let's be politically correct, my guy. So that's what they go into. And they talk about how a lot of times you start to associate habits with different memories and emotions. And so, case in point on some of these, you can be like answering an email and you think back on when you had to answer some emails from like a really shitty boss that you had or a job that you didn't like. And that can trigger some more bad feelings. And then you start to just go down that path on it. And I've noticed that I can and oftentimes do, in fact, go down the rabbit hole of being displeased. And that's something that I got to work on. And he talks about how being mindful of what you're doing plays a big role in that. So they have a meditation on there, and it's called the chocolate meditation because, you know, I don't know, but you know how I am with my candy. So I was like all for it. But basically, you take a piece of chocolate and you break off the piece of chocolate and you look at it, you feel it. All of this before you pop it into your mouth. And when you do that, you need to like pay attention to the texture. What sensations is your tongue telling you, about this? And go from there. Feel it melting in your mouth. Take deliberate bites and like really focus on the taste of the chocolate instead of I'm eating chocolate. So I thought those were pretty interesting. Naturally, I didn't have chocolate, but what I did have was ice cream, which really kind of amplified the results, I would say, because I can definitely notice ice cream in my mouth versus chocolate. I mean, ice cream's cold. There's a distinct richness to it. I don't know. It's very easy to recognize that you're eating ice cream and take the sensations. And I felt it melt. I did a long, slow swallow. And I don't know. I was a little bit more mindful of things, I guess. I did that. I was paying attention to what was going on around me. Thoughts, feelings, all that. And I've started to catch myself in my negative thinking, which is very beneficial for me because my style of detrimental thinking does not go well with others. Usually ends with like accusations and arguments and someone crying that's not me. Anyway, so we are on week 1 of it. We are practicing the mindfulness of it. We're trying to, in week 1, disrupt the autopilot, essentially. So that's what we'll do. I'll check in a week. Bye. So we are at the end of week 2, or week 1, I should say, with mindfulness. And we're getting started in week 2. And I've already noticed a couple of like habits. So this whole week was about trying to find the habits and where they automate and how they're negatively affecting you. Asking why are you doing this, essentially. And I got paid on Wednesday and Thursday, and I instantly wanted to go out and spend all my money because for the past 4 or 5 years, my bank account's always been negative, and it's another moment before it goes negative again once I have money in it. So I usually spend it before, bills have a chance to take it out. And it's usually on like frivolous shit, like energy drinks and stuff. But I didn't do that today, or so far. Like, I've been consciously aware of it. And
down from the top of your screen, then go to settings, network.
Anyway, so I've noticed that my ex-partner, who we're trying to work things out, her family is in town. And this morning, I have been riddled with thoughts of how this is, just a game to her, how I'm just a placeholder. If she really loved me, she would do this, that, and the third, and everything. And, logically, I can dispute it, and I can argue with it, but so far I have noticed my habits and my thinking kind of go the same. I've also, leading up to this, started eating fast food again. I've eaten McDonald's 4 times this week, and I'm having all these like impulsive thoughts on things. Not about drinking, but like eyeing stuff that I can buy, what I'm going to do with money that I will have in December, shit like that doesn't even matter. And I'm finding myself like plotting it and having an opinion on it and looking at it through that lens into, the future what if lens, because it's not here yet. It really kind of adds some anxiety and a lot of doubt in things. And I haven't been listening to those thoughts. I've been watching them, but damn if I can't sit there and say, well, they've got a point. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm hoping week 2 gets a lot better. All right. So we're at the start of week 2 with the mindfulness program, and I've already been hit with some major hurdles that I've noticed. I'm going to take you with me real quick because my Xbox didn't turn on. I'm going to play some Elden Ring before. Well, now it just won't turn on. That's not good. Hold on. So I've been reading this book called Mindfulness, and in it you're supposed to break up your routines and try and break some habits that are causing you stress. So that is fitting because it feels like that's all I've been doing is not sticking to a schedule at all. That I want to wake up at 5:30 every day. I want to get my video games in, get a nice little meditation and everything in while I wake up, and then eat breakfast and go to work. Like, that's what I want to do every day. And I can't seem to find a way to get out of bed before 6:30. And I have to leave at 7. So not a lot of time to do things. It's incredibly frustrating on my end. But what it shows is with like I've got a lot of downtime now. I've got a situation now where I'm not scrambling for money, where I have to work an extra job. I don't have to work extra and save money. And it's been a long time coming, and now it's all at once. And what's the first thing I want to do is like go out and spend the money. And I don't want to do that. Like mentally, I don't want to do that, but I have all these moments in my head that are like, ooh, you need this, you can afford this. Ooh, you need this, you can afford this. Ooh, you need this, you can afford this. And it's not good or healthy. I need to be content with what I have, especially right now. I'm in a good spot where I can save. I can put myself in a position where if I want, I can have what I want. I can afford what I want. I don't need to worry about the future because I already have that locked in. So, oh man, it is nerve-wracking, but in a good way. And it's really showing things on the forefront of like how much subconsciously even I am in this and I am trying to fuck this up. Like that's the part that bugs me. Anyways, see ya. So we are at the end of week 2 with mindfulness, and it had us do a walk a day or some sort of exercise, a body scan, which I closed my eyes, I laid down, and I tried to feel in different spots of my body just to see how that went. And then on top of that, I was building on the mindfulness meditations where like I would take in and use all my senses to like be present in the moment. And it has been extremely helpful in noticing the moods. I've been noticing these ups and downs that I have throughout the day. And I've noticed that they're just random thoughts, and they usually go away pretty quickly if I don't engage in them. So I've gotten to where I don't I don't listen, act, or even like just acknowledge that they're there, other than, yeah, that's a bad thought, and then I move on. I've had several instances where I've wanted to do that, and I've wanted to act on them, and I haven't. And it feels like it almost is like some pitfalls that I got to be wary of, but we're making progress. And overall, I have found that I'm less anxious because I'm not engaging in those thoughts and forcing those conversations, which is in turn forcing like a conversation that somebody else doesn't want. And so like I'm just building up these arguments and laying the groundwork by acting on these thoughts that really don't need to be talked about, acted on, or discussed, because there's really no point right now. Everything's still fairly fresh, and I am quickly reminded how long ago it was since my whoopsie. So, which, I would want to sit there and say, okay, I get it. Is it aggravating? Yes. Does it bug me? Yes. Does it bother me for long? No. Like I try not to dwell on these things, and thankfully I have way too many hobbies going on right now, things going on to even really think about that. I'm in the process of trying to maybe switch careers. I've got that going on. I've got this channel. I've got another separate gaming channel that I'm doing, and like I just use it as an excuse to play video games, but like come on. And I've got books I'm reading, stuff I'm crafting, painting. I've got a lot going on, and like I don't have time to dwell on those thoughts. It's almost like my higher form of self is sitting there saying, yeah, that's nice, but we can't worry about that right now. So anyways. Right. So mindfulness. I kind of fell off on this, with kind of the relapses constantly happening, breaking up with my partner, resigning from my job to switch careers, tucking my tail and coming back here. But I've picked it back up. And so I was at like week 5, and it was turning towards difficulties, which is kind of ironic where, I stopped. And as I was doing this, I started looking at my life. And I don't like doing customer service anymore. I've always loathed doing customer service, but for some reason, I'm good at it. So whatever that means, it is what it is. But it's kind of how things have shaped out. And so when I was looking at this and reading this, there was a meditation called Exploring Difficulties meditation. So you start with your breath and focusing on that, and you let your mind wander. And instead of snapping it back to, your breath or your focus or anything like that, you let your mind wander and you just observe it, right? And more often than not, if you're like me, you have a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of things that kind of crop up. And when you let your mind wander, like, how am I going to pay my bills? Well, I don't have any money. What am I going to do for a living? I'm going to die alone. Shit like that. And I watched it, and then I didn't engage. I've been drinking Diet Coke all day, but I watched it go away. Like, I was finally able to separate thoughts and feelings. My thoughts and how I felt about it are not integral to who I am. Those are just thoughts and those are just feelings. And more often than not, the feelings kind of pop up from your thoughts. You sit there and you think about all your failed relationships and you feel like a failure. Well, no, you were just mismatched, or you weren't doing something right about it because you weren't aligned with that person, or that person wasn't aligned with you, however you want to look at it. So without judgment, as best as I could, I just let them come in and come out. And I've been learning acceptance on it. And acceptance means a completely different thing. Like, I thought acceptance meant I had to be, like, happy about it. I'm happy that my ex-wife got remarried. I have no idea if she did, but that's just the example I'm using. I don't have to accept that. I just have to accept the reality that life goes on. And then as I was doing that, I started to be aware of that, and I would redirect my thoughts to the fact that these are just feelings. These are just feelings that I don't have to listen to. So then when we got to Mindfulness Week 6, it was trapped in the past, present, or, worried about the future. And then here is some of these mental pains that they talk about. There's nothing I can do. I'm falling apart. I have no future. I'm completely defeated. I have lost something I'll never find again. I am not my old self anymore. I'm worthless. I'm a burden to others. Something in my life has been damaged forever. I can't find meaning in life. I am completely helpless. This pain will never go away. Boy, howdy, did I resonate with all of those statements. All of those statements. You know, like, let's go back through these again. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, you know, I will not drink. I think I'm an alcoholic. It's a pretty easy fix. Just don't do that. I'm falling apart. Well, no. I'm demoing the old me, and I am making a new me. I have no future. That's bullshit. There's a bright future ahead of me. I just have to, you know, do it. I am completely defeated. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I have lost something I will never find again. This one resonated in a sense of like purpose and personal relationships and the ones that I've lost. Well, I can always try and repair them, and if they don't come back, then I really don't have to worry about it. I can go find new ones. And I'm also trying to change the word can to I will. Like, I can do this. Instead, I'm saying I will do this. And it's kind of shifting my mindset, but I'm in the very early stages of doing this. So forgive me if I use the word can. I am not my old self anymore. Well, that one's true. I am not a degenerate drunk who, you know, tucks tail and runs. The old me is something that I want back, but the old me was arrogant, prideful, kind of a dick. I don't know if I really want that anymore. I kind of want to be compassionate and, you know, pleasant. I'm worthless. I have worth. I have worth. At the very least, if I die, you can harvest some of my organs. I am a burden to others. Only when I stop doing what I need to do. Something in my life has been damaged forever. I can't find meaning in life. Are you trying? Or are you just wallowing? I am completely helpless. No, I am not. I, in fact, am completely able. I am just sometimes too lazy to do what I need to do. And that will change. The pain will never go away. Pain from what? A relationship ending? A friendship going away? A job loss? I've done so many jobs. I've done so many things. There's always another job. What I need is a career. And as far as bodily pain goes, I can remedy that too with stretching, massages, taking care of myself, eating right, hot baths. You know, there are options. And then they go into another example of things of, you know, to remember things as they were. Memories of real events. Look at the words below. Think of real events that happened to you that come to your mind in each of these words. Keep them in mind, write them down. It doesn't matter whether the real event happened a long time ago or only recently, but it should be something that lasted for less than a day. Okay, and so we have happy, bored, relieved, hopeless, excited, failure, lonely, sad, lucky, relaxed. I was relaxed here. I was happy when I played pickleball. I was bored when I was drinking. I was relieved when I decided to make changes on September 17th. I felt hopeless on, September 29th, somewhere in there, about how I am progressing. I was excited that I can change, and that's a relatively recent one. I felt like a failure when I relapsed back in January and in April. I felt lonely when my wife walked out on me, ex-wife, I should say. I also felt sad about it, like physical pain sad. I felt lucky when I met some of the people that are in my life, mainly my old sponsors. When I went to an AA meeting and I could discern from somebody talking who is still sick versus somebody who's not. I felt relaxed today after a really busy day, and the last couple days, to be honest with you, because I did some yard work and being outside really helped. So then it talks about changing the self-talk in your head, and it uses the idea, imagine you're at a crowded bar, which ideally isn't the best for me, but we'll go with it. And you see a friend talking to your work colleague, you wave and smile at them, they're looking in your direction, but they don't seem to notice you. My mind instantly goes to, well, they're mad at me, they don't like me anymore, what's wrong with me, so on and so forth. But there's always other possibilities, other things you need to think of. Like, it's a crowded bar. Somebody could walk in the way, somebody could be getting in a fight behind you. Like, there's so many options of what they're paying attention to. It's not all about you. And you just freeze. So then you got to start treating yourself with kindness. Do I criticize myself for having irrational or inappropriate emotions? Do I tell myself I shouldn't be feeling this way? Do I believe some of my thoughts are abnormal, bad, and I shouldn't think that way? Do I have judgments about whether my thoughts are good or bad? Do I tell myself I shouldn't be thinking the way I do? Do I think some of my emotions are bad or inappropriate and I shouldn't feel them? When I have distressing thoughts or images, do I judge myself as good or bad, depending on the thought or image that I am thinking about? And do I disapprove of myself when I have these irrational ideas? Yes, I do. So, going back to the fact that I need to start talking to myself nicer. It's really hard to have that dialogue inside, so I've been forcing myself to have the dialogue verbally. And I must look like a crazy person to some people, but that's why I do this alone. So we've been working on that. Then we got to the wonderful week 7. When did you stop dancing? And in it, it talks about this exhaustion funnel. So with it, you have like this, and I'll put the book down. You have this circle, right? And this is your whole life. In it is your relationships, your hobbies, your friends, work, everything. And then suddenly something becomes important, like a work deadline. Well, you can nix some of these hobbies and it gets smaller. Now, you're stressed out because all you're focusing on is work. You got to get this done so you can get back to what you were doing, and say you drop your nutrition. You start eating out. You start eating fast food. You stop taking time to prepare your meal with love. And it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower, and you just wear yourself thin. So that's kind of where I am at with it. I am trying to rebalance my daily life, get a routine down. Then when you get to Mindfulness week 8, it really kind of talks about implementing all of this. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend reading it. Take the full 8 weeks or 9 weeks to read it, because it has really done wonders for me. Okay? With that, I'm out.